Welcome back to Northwest City Politics in the Know with Juanita. We're glad that you're joining us for our show again this week. We're very happy that there are people like you out in our audience that care about what's happening in our cities, that you're interested in the issues of city government and what's happening. City government is the one closest to you and probably affects you the most. And we're glad to, see that I'll just change this little part.
Okay.
And we're glad that you are following city issues. If you haven't watched our show before, each week we'll have on somebody from one of the 9 cities in Northwest Community Television's viewing area. And we'll be talking about the issues that are currently going on or have just transpired in those cities. And then from time to time, we'll meet with groups that affect all of our cities, like the state legislature or we've had the Metropolitan Council on, and we'll have information for all of our cities on those shows. And then we'll encourage you to be sure to write down the email and the phone number of our guest tonight. We're going to be looking at Golden Valley issues tonight. I'm very happy to welcome Larry Fonnest with us to our show tonight.
Thank you for inviting me.
We haven't had you on our show before, so we're very glad to get your point of view on Golden Valley's issues.
I'm glad to be here.
And now I asked you ahead of time that I'll let you introduce yourself out to our wider audience. Tell them a little bit something about yourself and how you got involved and wanted to be in city government.
Sure. Well, I'm a graduate of the University of Minnesota with an undergraduate degree in political science and history, and then a master's program in natural resource management. So I've been involved in both local and state politics since I was a young boy.
A long time.
A very long time. And I am a retired small business owner.
Okay.
And lived in Golden Valley for 19 years and ran for the council and won, obviously.
Right.
And joined the council in January of last year, 2014.
Now we'll switch to an area that's been in the news off and on quite a bit, and that the council has been dealing with, that you've had a subdivision study.
Yes.
But you've also had a subdivision moratorium, and this is in regards to single-family lots that are big enough to be subdivided, right?
Correct. That's correct.
That maybe you can tell us a little bit about what are some of the citizen concerns that led the council to start dealing with this issue.
Golden Valley is fortunate in that it's, first of all, a first-ring suburb.
Right.
Secondly, as we were talking about earlier, it's a very old city.
Right.
It's been around for quite some time.
Yeah.
And we have a great many properties that have larger than average lots upon which people have built their homes over the years. This is particularly true in the Tralee and the North Tyrol Hills neighborhoods. And as pressure is growing on suburbs so conveniently located as we are to downtown and the job opportunities that are downtown and in our own community, there's growing pressure to subdivide those properties and build homes.
Right.
The Tralee and North Tyrol communities were concerned that the open space that has been so much part of those neighborhoods was going to disappear, and with it a certain quality of life.
Right, right.
There's a lot of wildlife in those neighborhoods because of their proximity to parkland. There's a lot of trees, beautiful settings, and a unique look and feel to a community.
Right.
And so they approached as private citizens and asked the council if we'd be willing to take a look at doing a subdivision moratorium, because properties, again, were being bought up very quickly, and they were kind of shocked, quite frankly, by what they saw happening to their neighborhood. And after considerable conversation at the council level, we decided that that was a reasonable approach to take. We imposed a 6-month moratorium during which we hired professional consultants to work with our city staff and with citizens and the council and our planning commission to take a look at this whole issue. And just as of last evening, we had the second reading of the new subdivision code and passed it into law. And boiling it all down to its essence, what we've decided as a council is that a property that wants to subdivide will need to, not the owners, but the city itself will measure all lots within 250 feet of their lot line and average those lots. And if the average is at 18,000 square feet or greater as an average, then those lots that are going to be subdivided need to be a minimum of 15,000 square feet each. And
so kind of to deal with the fact that the concern that people have over the space that's around them.
That's correct. And the previous subdivision code allowed for 10,000 square feet. So we have added another 5,000 feet. The average lot size in Golden Valley is 15,000. So I think there's a logic model at work here.
Yeah, it sounds like it.
And between our consultants, the Planning Commission, our staff, and the citizens that participated in this study, I think we've come up with a very workable solution. It was a comprehensive study. A lot of research was done. And it was a very respectful process. And I think we have come up with a good solution.
And so there was concerns about the size of the lot, and then there were concerns about zoning, so you had to deal on two different issues when you were coming to a resolution?
That's correct. And we're still working on the zoning piece. And we'll also, there were some issues that citizens brought forward that didn't fit into either the subdivision study or zoning, such as neighborhood character, building design, and so on and so forth. So we're going to continue to have conversation at the city council level about these issues and continue to look at ways that we can work with our citizens to address their concerns.
So there's an ongoing aspect to this too.
There is, and I'm sure that there'll be a bump in the road sometime in the future. But hopefully what we've come up with regard to the subdivision code and soon to be revised zoning code will answer the majority of the concerns that have been raised.
And now it's done in a specific way that draws out the guidelines so everybody knows what they are.
Exactly.
So if anybody is concerned about that issue, is the information and recommendations on your website?
Yes. And you can just go to www.goldenvalleymn.gov.
We'll have that up.
Good. And not only will you find out information about subdivisions and zoning, but there's a wealth of information there for citizens about our park and rec facilities and everything that's going on in the city of Golden Valley will be found at our website.
Very good. Now, a completely different area, and all of our cities are at the beginning stage to this because the city budget, of course, affects what's going on and it affects people's taxes, and the cities are already working on their 2016 budgets, including Golden Valley.
Yes, we are.
So when does the work begin, or what's the beginning work that happens with the budget?
Well, let me share with you a little background first, and then I'll get into the details. We, as a city council, are approaching budget development this year for the first time ever in a very different fashion than has been tried before. The council itself is setting the priorities
Okay.
for the city rather than reacting to
what the city brings
priorities
to
that
you.
staff have brought to us in the past. And as a part of that process, the city has put together an asset and infrastructure report
Okay.
highlighting all of the investments that we need to make, not only in 2016,
Right.
but going forward
Okay, right.
for any number of years. And it's provided us as a council with a wealth of information about our aging infrastructure.
Right.
We, being an older city, have water and sewer pipes running underground that no one thinks about or sees
Right, right.
until they break,
Right, right.
that are 50 years old.
Right, that's getting
that's-
a pretty old elderly age for pipes.
That's right. And so we are looking at a major infrastructure investment to address concerns that we have about what's underground
Right.
and out of sight. And that's just one example of what we're taking a look
Okay.
at. And again, it's everything from the community center, which I know we'll be talking about
Right.
later, to the number of vehicles that we have in our city fleet. And one of the more sobering bits of information that I found out when I was first going through my initiation after having won the election was that, as a for instance, we have a 25-year-old ladder truck with our fire department.
Okay.
And it's going to cost $1.5 million
right, they're
just
expensive,
to replace
right,
that truck.
right.
Yeah. So I think citizens oftentimes don't appreciate what it takes to run a city and to do it well.
Right.
And
No,
Golden
probably,
Valley
right.
has always prided itself on doing a good job for our citizens in terms of maintaining our streets, our parks, policing and fire support. And so as a city council, we're taking a very sober and long look at what our needs are, and we'll be making decisions then based on that.
So then your report is kind of giving you a foundation to go from?
Yes, that's correct. And we've had 4 strategic meetings with
Okay.
senior staff, and we have established priorities, and now the staff are working to build budgets around those priorities. And we will be meeting again next month to, or perhaps early June, to start drilling down on those details and start to form the budget.
So what kind of priorities has the council set?
Well,
Or are you still in the process of refining those?
we're still in the process of refining, and we probably will be until the final vote goes
Okay.
down in council on the budget. But, you know, I've already mentioned some of the infrastructure
Okay,
concerns we have.
right.
And we might segue a bit into the community center discussion.
Sure. Because that's the next thing on my topic, so.
Imagine that.
Yeah, hooray.
Brookview Community Center, which serves as a community center and also
Okay.
as our golf club house, is approaching 100 years old.
Ah,
There are literally tree trunks that are still rooted in the ground that are part of the superstructure underneath the building. And one of the walls on the building is starting to lean.
oh, sure.
And so it's becoming a public safety concern. And the building itself, given its age and the way it was constructed originally, doesn't really serve the needs of a vibrant and growing
right.
community. So we as a council are looking at the potential of building a new community center. We, as you know, had a citizens task
Right,
force
right.
take a look at this, and they came back with a report, and it went from a low figure of about 6.6 million
Right.
to renovate the existing building
That's one of the
to-
choices.
to $38 million.
And then you had like about 4 or 5 possibilities. right?
Possibilities, that's correct. And I just want to say to the folks that are watching our
Right.
program, This was just a task force doing
Right.
a study. No decisions have been made, and none will be made until we have had an opportunity to discuss this with the public.
Right.
The task force was given the mission of looking at what other communities
Okay.
of a like size had in terms of facilities. And they came back with a very complete report.
Okay.
And we looked at the Plymouth Creek Center, the St. Louis Park Center, Edinburgh Park,
Okay.
Crystal, and New Brighton.
Ah.
And they did some grand planning
Aha.
in terms of what they thought the facility should
Right.
include.
Right.
So we have programming areas in this proposal for seniors, for little people,
Right.
for golfers, people who want to lawn bowl. It's a pretty full service package, if you will.
Okay.
Now, the job, of course, of the council will be to take a look at what has been recommended, see how that correlates to our other priorities
Right.
and our available funds, and then make an educated decision based on that.
So, has the council started to discuss this yet?
As a matter of fact, we will be discussing this at our next council manager meeting,
okay.
which is next Tuesday.
Okay, yeah, because like the other cities, you have 2 public meetings where you do business and another meeting where they call it different things. You call it what?
Council manager
Council
meeting.
manager. I've seen workshops. I've seen, what's the other term? Anyway, but where you have a time to sit down and gather input and discuss things.
Exactly.
So will this be the first time discussing this report, or have you already done some discussing on it?
We had an initial reaction to
Okay.
the report when it was presented by the task force, but we have not discussed it as a council
Okay.
since then. And so I would encourage people who want to listen
Oh, right.
and hear firsthand what the thinking is to join us next Tuesday evening at 6:30 at City Hall. They can only listen.
Right.
We don't take any testimony from
Right.
the public, but of course, having firsthand knowledge then gives them the
Oh,
opportunity
definitely.
to contact their council members and the mayor and share their views with any of us after that meeting.
So then will you be setting up a process for how you might come to a decision, or?
I think initially, and I'm just speaking for
Yeah,
myself now.
yeah.
I think
We're just talking, you and I,
Yeah.
so.
yeah, I think we'll have a discussion about what we think is reasonable
Okay,
and doable.
right.
And then I think there may be a brief discussion about the process for involving the public, but that process will be sometime after Tuesday of next week.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, that's what I was just thinking. This is like sort of first step after your task force.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this would be a very good one for people to come to your meeting next week.
Absolutely. And there are people on both sides of the question.
Right.
There are some that are just thrilled at what's being proposed, and others that are concerned about the amount of investment that it might take if we were
Right.
to do the gold standard model. Right.
Yeah, so there's a lot of decisions and a lot of discussing yet ahead, right?
Exactly. And just to share again with your viewing audience, the low end of the scale in terms of an investment, and it would be 6.6 million.
Right.
And that would be to renovate the existing building.
Right.
And that wouldn't address some of the concerns that the task force identified.
Right.
At the top end, we're at 38.4 million. And there are other points between those two
Right.
where we might
End up.
eventually settle.
Right.
Yeah.
And then do you have a time frame that you're hoping to accomplish this? Or have you even decided that yet?
Staff have estimated that we could keep Brookview going indefinitely, but the
Okay.
longer we keep it, the more we're investing in keeping it up.
True.
And so they're suggesting that within the next 3 years we
Okay.
need to take some action.
So this is like the beginning stages.
This is the beginning stages, exactly. Yep.
So whatever goes forward from here, this is where people should follow it if this is a concern of theirs.
Absolutely. And always feel free to contact their
yes,
council members and the mayor
right.
or city staff
Right.
to share their concerns.
Now, development and redevelopment has been going on in Golden Valley. Maybe you can talk about some areas of Golden Valley where you've got new business development going.
All right, and if I may, I'll include housing construction with that.
Yeah, because I was there. Then I was going to say, and then you've got apartments
and
going
then we have apartments.
So I thought, well, let's talk about businesses first, and then we'll talk about
All right.
multifamily ones.
That sounds good. Well, we as a city council and as a city have put out the welcome mat to businesses, and we are seeing now that, thank goodness, the recession is well behind us, that the economy is returned to a robust character, and we are seeing new shops and businesses open in our city. One of the more interesting that has opened recently is the new Bohemia tap room and bratwurst, and it's not bratwurst like you would expect. They serve everything from rattlesnake to alligator.
Wow.
So if you're interested in tasting a whole host of interesting freshly brewed beers or some exotic foods, I would encourage people to check out the new Bohemia. And that's located at the Golden Valley Shopping Center, right on Highway 55 and Winnetka. Right. We recently, as a council, passed a new ordinance that would allow brew pubs in our city, and we are in conversation with a company that is looking to come to our city. And so it appears that beer is very very much on the barometer these days. But our other industrial and corporate neighbors, if you will, in the community continue to employ a great many people.
Oh, yes, right.
There are actually more people that are coming to work in Golden Valley each Monday through Friday than live in the city.
Wow.
There are just over 20,000.
Yeah,
20,000 residents in Golden Valley, but we have over 32,000 people employed in our city limits. And we were the only city during the recent recession that actually added employment. And that's in the entire state of Minnesota. So we're very, very happy about that. And we're glad to have such good corporate citizens in our community. Now, as to housing, we have a lot going on. A lot. Just last evening at our regular city council meeting, we approved the final plans for the first phase of the Central Park West development, which is located at the corner, the southwest corner of Highway 100 and 394. And this is a shared development, if you will, between the cities of Golden Valley and St. Louis Park. And it will eventually include 2 residential units, most of which will be apartments, but there will also be townhomes. There will be a new hotel on that corner. There will be 2 business towers and a large parking facility. And we are estimating that the value of that portion of this development that falls within the parameters of Golden Valley will have a value of about $55 million.
Ooh, that'd be good for your taxes.
So we're excited about that one.
Great. I can see why you would.
Yes, indeed. And we also have Laurel Ponds coming online, and that's located at Laurel in Pennsylvania on the western side of Golden Valley. And we have 24 single-family homes being built on that property. And we expect construction to start sometime this spring. And then the Arcata, excuse me, got to get that out there correctly. The Arcata will have its grand opening on April 30th. And so if folks would like to go over and check out those new apartment buildings right adjacent to the Allianz building.
Right.
They're more than welcome. There'll be a formal ribbon cutting around 5 o'clock that afternoon, and then people will also be able to visit some of the models and see what this new facility looks like. Right across the street from the Arcata will be the Xenia, and that will be a large 180 plus apartment complex built on that vacant lot. And again, we expect construction to begin in the late spring or early summer. We also are working with the Liberty Crossing, which will be located up at Winnetka and Medicine Lake Road.
Oh, right, right.
And that project is moving along nicely. That'll be 184 apartments and 63 townhomes. And so we're very excited for that development to begin. And I'll share a little bit more about that one later. But I'd also like to mention that other developments within the city in recent days, the Struthers Parkinson Center is doing a major remodel of their treatment facility, and that's an Alina-affiliated center. CenterPoint Energy is going to be expanding its campus with a new office and warehouse facility near Douglas Drive. And we have a number of other interesting things going on. I just wanted to share one stat with you that I received from the Minneapolis Area Association of Realtors. They put out an annual report on the viability, if you will, the vibrancy of cities and their real estate. And Golden Valley housing prices have risen 33.9%.
Wow.
Year to year, date to date.
That's
and so
good.
That is a very good trend.
Definitely.
And we're seeing a lot of sales in our community. So a lot going on, both in terms of apartments and townhome developments, but the residential property sales and values are doing very well as well. So
a good picture all the way around.
A good picture. All things are golden.
Right. In Golden Valley.
In Golden Valley.
Well, I want to thank you so much.
Well, you're welcome.
We've covered a lot of areas.
Been fun.
Yeah, so we've gotten a lot of more information. You've got a lot of things going on in Golden Valley.
We certainly do.
And if an issue resonates with you and you live in Golden Valley, contact Larry Fonnest. Or if it's an issue that you think, wonder what's happening in my city, contact your cities and mayors. Thank you for being with us, and we'll hope you'll join us again next week. Bye.